So I decided that one of the things I want to do over the summer is go backpacking every weekend. And I already have a lot of camping gear stashed away because I like to go camping. However, I've never tried to go backpacking before. So I've scavenged together everything I could find to put together a basic backpacking kit before I start ordering more stuff. So I'm making a video now to sort of show everything that I have, and then I'm going to make another video when all of my new stuff arrives to show the completed kit. So this is everything in just kind of a pile, and I'm going to go through it all one by one. So I'm going to start off with arguably the most important tool when you're out in the wilderness, and that is a solid knife. This is a Kniv, I believe model 2. The different models, it's all basically the same knife, but the different models are basically how long the blade is. It's a $15 knife, and is in my opinion the best budget survival knife on the market. It's the same knife Cody Lundin uses. Carbon steel blade, you can sharpen it yourself. You do need to oil it to keep it from rusting, which is a bit of a downside, but yeah, and it comes with a plastic, I don't know if you call it a holster or a sheath. I think it's a sheath. Which is really good because oil sheaths are actually really, not oil sheaths, leather sheaths are actually really bad because they gather water. They hold on to moisture, and that moisture can actually form little pits in your knife that can really speed up how fast it ages. So, yeah, this is my knife. Eventually I want to get a whetstone and some oil so I can maintain it in the field, but for now this is all I really need. So next we're going to go through some pretty simplistic emergency supplies that don't really need that much explanation. So we have some trail tape, so were I to break my leg or something, this is nice and visible and you can string it all up on some trees to help the Forest Service find you. I have an emergency survival blanket, just in case it gets colder than I think it is and my sleeping bag can't handle it, or if I were to lose it or break my sleeping bag somehow. A poncho, which isn't even really an emergency thing, it's just really nice to have if it rains. A compass, see how you open it, just, in case I get lost. Alright, there we go. Some iodine to purify water. I also want to get a life straw because those are really effective and could potentially save your life out there. So, and that's all the basic survival gear. So one of the most important rules in any survival situation / when preparing for, the worst, heading out into the wilderness, is that you want to have layers of fire starters. So if one thing goes wrong, you have another backup. Right now I have 2 options, and I want to get a flint magnesium bar so that I will have a third. But this is currently what I have. I have a lighter, so if I need to start a fire to stay warm or whatever, this is really easy. And then I have this, which is a waterproof container. Inside I have an emergency petroleum jelly cotton ball and a ton of waterproof matches, with an extra striking pad out here, and one inside. Now the problem is that this one is waterproof, but should either of these get wet, they're useless. The nice thing about a flint magnesium bar is even though they're a pain in the ass to really start the fire with, you can literally soak it in a bucket for a year and take it out and use it immediately, and it works. Because magnesium can't rust, neither can flint, so they both work perfectly even when sopping wet. So you always want to have one of those, so I'm going to get one for sure. And finally, you need to be able to do something for food. And I do intend to get a field guide manual, whatever the hell those things are called, for Arizona, just in case, so I can tell what plants are edible and what aren't and all that. But really, considering most of my hiking is going to be by the creek anyway, so I have a water source, I put together a little fishing kit, an emergency fishing kit, so that, say, I, accidentally dumped my food that I was bringing in the creek or something, I can still get some food into me so I can make my way back to the trailhead. So, I have it in this little container. It's just a gum container. It's not waterproof, but I'm thinking I can just seal it with some saran wrap, and then it will be. Inside, packed very tightly. Here's what's in it. We have some sinkers. These are just nuts and bolts, basically, because the regular fishing sinkers, you need a tool to get them on. You need a vice grip or something, and I can't squeeze that in there, obviously. So, just simple sinkers. Then I have a teeny little bobber. I don't really like these kinds, because they're really fragile, but I had room for an extra one, so I put it in. I prefer, if I can get it out, hang on. I prefer these kind, because they have a lot thicker plastic, so they break, they are a lot harder to break. So, I have 2 of those. Let me see if I can get the second one out. 2 of those. Then I have this cork, which basically contains every size fishing hook I own. Looks like a few of them fell out. I'll have to stick them back in there. But so that's just if, say, I can't get any fish, I can try a different hook size. But I have these hooks stored in a different way so I can tell the difference. These are the right size to catch rainbow trout, which are the fish that are in the creek. So these would be my go-to, unless it wasn't working, and then I have the backup. Then I have fishing line. One is stored with a cork. This is like 10, 15 feet of fishing line. I prefer to store it on a cork. It works better, but since I didn't have enough corks, I stored the other one on some vinyl tubing, basically in the same way. So, if I needed to, I could use all this. I could just, tie my line to a stick, and I could use all this to catch a fish. So, the only thing is that right now, I don't have any artificial bait. I want to get some, just like those gummy fake worms. Just stick them in there as a backup in case I can't find any grubs or anything to use as bait. So, Yeah, fishing kit. So all of that was my survival gear, which is really there, except for the knife, which is more general use, but all the survival gear is really there just in case something were to go horribly wrong. I don't want to be caught with my pants down. So now I'm going to show you what I have so far in terms of plan A gear, just to head out in camp. So the first thing is this. Now, guess what it is. Go ahead, guess. Have you guessed? Okay, it's a hammock. You know why? Because tents are for squares. Seriously, I've never slept in a tent before and been comfortable, even with a good sleeping bag and a good thermorest. It sucks. It's awful. But with this, it weighs like nothing. It literally, everything I need to set up the tent weighs like 3 pounds. So it's, or not tent, the hammock. So it's lighter than a tent, really. And it's far more comfortable because it's a hammock. And I've slept in this before in my hammock stand, and it's really comfortable. It's nylon, I believe. It's really strong. It is flammable, so you can really keep yourself warm with a fire with this, but then again, neither could you with a tent. So there are hooks on either end to attach it. I'll show you the rest of the attaching stuff in a second. I chose green just because I really like kind of army greenish colors in my camping gear. I don't know why, but you know, I'm freaking wearing army green shorts right now, so yeah, love this hammock. And it all just folds right back up into its bag when it's done, and it has setup instructions right there. So it's a really nice piece of equipment, really cheap too. I got this like a year ago. I think it's like $10, $15 for the hammock itself, and then all the accessory equipment you need for it to really rival a tent makes it cost like $50. So it's a relatively cheap option to camp. The only problem is you do need trees to hang it on. So if you're somewhere where you're not gonna be able to find a couple of trees that are close enough together, then you're kind of out of luck, and I would just bring a tent. But everywhere I'm gonna be camping, there are relatively large amount of trees, so the hammock should work fine. Okay, so the next bit of the hammock is these hanging things, which are basically 100% necessary to hang it. You could make your own. You're not really saving too much money though. I prefer to just get mine, professionally made. But basically, pretending my arm here is a tree, you take the loop on one side, you put the other end through it, and you pull it taut. So that's how it stays on. Really nice and secure. Unless the rope snaps, and the rope I think is rated to like 500 pounds or something, so that the rope isn't going to snap. It's like mountain climbers rope. It's not coming down. And then on this end you have a bunch of adjustable sort of loops here. And they're further adjustable, and that you can just untie and retie the thing if you want. And then basically the hooks on either end of the hammock just hook right into here, and that is how you hang it. And this thing is like, I don't know how long my arms are. It's pretty freaking long. Then it's adjustable, and there's 2 of them. So you have a lot of wiggle room in like how far apart the trees are. Like you have quite a bit. Like you have anywhere from like, I think the hammock itself is like 6 feet long, so you could get away with like 8 feet apart all the way up to like 10, 15 feet. So, and this can wrap around a tree like at least that big around, and you could once again retie the thing to hold a lot, to make it be able to wrap around a much bigger tree if you needed to. So it's a really nice piece of equipment. So one of the advantages that a tent does have over a hammock is that a hammock can't keep bugs out. Just kidding, a hammock can totally keep bugs out and are superior to tents in every way. So this guy is packed up basically identically to how a hammock is. The bag is attached the same, it has instructions the same. Basically, what you do is there's rope on either end here, and you take this paracord. It doesn't have to be super taut. You just tie it around the same tree the hammock's tied to on one end. Same on the other end. You unzip the zipper. I think the zipper's on the other side. You unzip this zipper, and you move your hammock inside. Then you climb into your hammock, and you zip up. And it's a complete bug net. No bugs can get through. I believe that they're small enough to keep out all bugs, at least where I am. I don't know if you might live somewhere where there are really tiny, crazy super bugs that can get through, but these can keep everything out, including no-see-ums or whatever those guys are called. So it's a really nice bug net. Oh, also, there's basically another thing. It attaches similar to the bug net where you just tie it to either side, and then you also have to use either pins or rocks to pull it taut in 2 places, just in corners. And it's basically just a canopy of what's the word? It's a roof. It's canvas waterproof material, and it keeps it completely waterproof. So, I didn't get one initially because it's easier to just, hike when it's not going to rain. But they don't weigh that much, and they don't cost too much, so I'm planning on getting one and just sticking it in my pack, and if it looks like it's going to rain, I'll put it up, and it'll be worth having. So, tents are completely inferior to hammocks. To conclude. So real quick, we have 2 utility items. This is just a sleeping bag liner. It's a really thin layer that helps your sleeping bag to be warmer if you need to. Really light, just worth carrying around. And then this is just a very small, light camping pillow. So just 2 little simple items. Makes your camping experience a lot nicer. So now we're going to go over the mess kit. There is one component to it that is not here. It's out in the garage. I believe it's called a SIG bottle. It's basically the fuel for the camp stove. It's a little dangerous to keep it in the house just because it's a tank full of flammable liquid. So we keep it out of the garage just to be on the safe side. So you have a lid, 2 pots, both I believe are aluminum. They're really light. This guy is an insulator. It just helps to keep the heat in and the wind away. Then this is the main thing. It's really awesome. This is my dad's camp stove, actually. He's had it for decades, I believe. It's a really, really nice camp stove. I've worked with it a lot. So ordinarily you would have the SIG bottle. It's about like yay tall. It's red. It has a little pump so you can get some pressure and a little valve so you can adjust. But basically, you put the little legs out. And you use SIG bottle. You fill up this little reservoir in the bottom first. Then you light that and use the heat from that to heat up the thing above it. And then once that's hot, it converts the liquid to a gas. Light a match up here, and you have a little fire. And it's more than enough to boil water or cook something in these. You can like pasta meat or anything really if you want to. Stick your pot on. You can put your lid on. There's a little tool that is not with these. I guess I have to find it that you can use to take the lid on and off. Because the lid actually stays on there quite firmly. And yeah, really, really nice tool to cook some chow out in the wilderness. So just need some freeze-dried meat and some rice. I also have a couple of just lightweight plastic cooking bowls. There's a few more items I need. I need to find that thing to take the lid on and off. And I need, basically it's like a Swiss Army knife with a bunch of utensils. Those are really nice to have. But it's really everything you need to cook out in the wilderness. Just bring some rice, nice and lightweight. You can just add it with the water you get when you're there or the water you bring with you. Make a nice nutritious meal. If you're going to be out for more than like a day or two, you probably want to bring something with a bit more variety and get those freeze-dried meals at most camping stores and stuff. So yeah, that's my mess kit. And then finally, this is the backpack I'm going to store it all in. There's going to be an additional layer of just a dry bag, which is one of those rafting/kayaking waterproof bags, just in case it rains. And especially because I want to be able to take all this stuff like down the creek on like an inner tube or something without the backpack, so it's going to be kept in a dry bag first. But this is actually my mom's former backpacking backpack. She doesn't really use it anymore. It's pretty old. I'm not exactly sure when. I think it's like the 70s or 80s. It's still in great shape. I just need to adjust it to fit me a little better. It has some nice padding to keep it comfortable on long hikes, an internal frame to keep everything solid and together so it doesn't hurt your back or anything. Lots and lots of room. There's a pouch down here for a sleeping bag or some water. There's all of this up here. There's plenty of space on the inside. There's another pouch that can attach to the top that you can use for additional storage if you need it, so it's a nice backpack. It's not really like an Appalachian Trail backpacking backpack. It's not big enough to hold enough to last you for more than like a few days, but it's more than enough for what I'm going to be doing, so it's really nice to not have to buy a backpack also. Because backpacking backpacks cost a lot, and it's extremely nice to have one already. So yeah, that's that. So that's most of, that's basically all, just for a few things that are missing I need to find. The survival gear that I have just lying around the house. So I need to get some more stuff and add to it. Dry bag, a knife sharpener with some oil, paracord. I want to get one of those fold-up fishing poles. I'm not really sure if I'm going to. I need a flint magnesium fire starter. I need a tarp, hammock top, roof, whatever those are called. Probably some other stuff I'm forgetting. I have about a month and a half, I think, before summer. So I should have enough time, just in terms of like saving up my income and getting all this stuff to get all of it in time for the summer. So yeah, it should be fun. There's 12 weeks of summer, I think 12 or 11, so that's 12 or 11 backpacking trips. At the most I can do, because I have to do Krav Monday through Thursday, is a 3-day trip. So there are a few places where there are a long enough trail to do a 3-day trip. So yeah, it's a fun project.